All right, so here are the lesson 10 homework solutions. If you want to pause the video and take a look at all those, make sure you've got them right. There are four of them, that I am going to go over in detail. If you've got these all correct and you think you're good and don't need to watch any further, that's fine. But I am going to go ahead and go over these four. If you need something with these four, just message me, let me know, and I can do it out on paper for you or whatever you need. The quiz will be posted here soon. It is due Tuesday. You're going to see the quiz looks a lot like this homework assignment because these questions put it all together. They require you to do coterminal angles sometimes, reference angles, ASTC, know your 30, 60, 90 triangle, your 45, 45, 90, your unit circle, know what exact value means. These types of questions piece together all of these 10 lessons that we've done so far. All right, so go ahead and pause the video, check your answers, and I'll go over a few of these. All right, the first one I'm going to go over is cosine negative 300, which is number 41. At the top up here, I've already got my resources drawn. I've got my 30, 60, 90, my 45, 45, 90, and my unit circle drawn. I know I'm going to need one of those, or maybe all of them at some point when I'm doing this type of stuff. So I just have them drawn up here. I'm going to keep them there so I don't have to keep redrawing them. So what would be nice is if I knew where negative 300 was so I could find its reference angle first. So I'm going to start by sketching negative 300. Negative angles go in this direction. Negative 300 is going to sit, about right there-ish. All right, so its reference angle is going to be this angle right here formed with the x-axis. We know that one complete trip around would be negative 360. We only went to negative 300. So the difference right there is going to be a 60-degree angle. And reference angles are always positive. So what that tells us is I can change this question to cosine 60. All right. Some of you might ask, well, what happens to that negative? Nothing. All right. We've concluded that negative 300's reference angle is 60. We're done with that negative. So now we just need to find the cosine of 60. Cosine of 60 we get from right here. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, 1 over 2, 1/2 it is. And because we were in the A quadrant, all are positive. That's why I kept it as a positive 1/2. All right, number 43 was the cosine of 810. I did this one because it requires coterminal angles. 810 is a really big angle, so we're going to knock it down to something smaller by using coterminal angles. So let's first take 810, take 360 away from it, see if we can get it to a smaller coterminal angle. When I do the subtraction here, let's see, we got to borrow. No, I don't have to borrow, sorry. That's going to give me a 0. I have to borrow here from the 8. 7, 11, 5. Looks like it's 450, which is still bigger than 360. So if I want to subtract another 360, I could knock this thing down even farther. So let me do that. If I subtract another 360, that's going to put me at 90 degrees. So what I've done is I've taken 810 and using my concept of coterminal angles, I've knocked it down to a smaller angle that's easier to work with, which is 90 degrees. So this question is actually asking for the cosine of 90 degrees. I don't need a picture for that. 90 is one of my angles from my unit circle. Cosine is your x value when you're on the unit circle. The x value up here at 90 is 0. So that means my answer, is just 0. The cosine of 90 is 0, which means the cosine of 810 is 0 as well. All right. So I definitely wanted to go over these last two because they have the negatives out in front. I want to make sure you're not confused too much by that. So 315, got to first sketch 315 and figure out its reference angle. 315, it's going to go this way and land right there. So its reference angle is going to be this angle right here formed with the x-axis. Simple subtraction. This is 360, this is 315. If I subtract those two, I find out that that's a 45-degree angle in there. So I'm actually finding the negative cosine of 45 degrees. So basically, I'm finding the cosine of 45 in this quadrant, which happens to be the C quadrant, all right? And once I have that, I'm going to negate my answer. So let's just go ahead and find the cosine of 45 first. That's right here, your 45, 45, 90 triangle. Cosine's adjacent over hypotenuse, so it doesn't matter which one you use. It's going to be 1 over radical 2 no matter what. Since we're in the C quadrant and cosine's positive in that quadrant, it is positive 1 over radical 2. However, the original question had a negative out in front. So when I negate a positive 1 over radical 2, my final answer is going to be negative 1 over radical 2. All right, so this is the best one on the assignment. Love this problem. 630, huge angle. Going to knock it down by using coterminals first. Once I do that, then we'll worry about finding what the sine is. So let's first knock it down a little bit. Let's take 630 and subtract 360 to see where that puts us. 0, got to borrow here, 7. Oh, 270. Actually, this isn't as bad as I thought it was. So we're actually finding the negative sine of 270. 270 we get from our unit circle. It's one of our quadrantal angles. So I go to the unit circle. 270 is right down here. Sine is going to be your y value, and the y value down here is negative 1. So I have the sine of 270 is negative 1. But remember, there was a negative out in front of the original problem, so it's the negative of negative 1, which makes the final answer positive 1. So that's why that one was positive 1.